you want to catch the ride up, and it takes wisdom to stay on the up, and it takes stick to itiveness and all kinds of persistence and other qualities. But I'm just saying, um, people are attracted. There were bars in New York City, right? On one block, there might be 12 bars. You might walk by them every day, not notice. But the second there's a really crowded bar, people stop and look in the window.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop. Let's have a drink here. Come on, let's go in here. This looks like it's happening. Let's grab a table. Let's see, because it's a crowded, noisy bar, right? Now, the true value is to be in that bar and understand that get a great spot.
It's true.
Feel great about it, and then watch as people start coming in, and you're there already, and everybody else is coming in.
Absolutely.
I don't like to walk into a crowded bar. I don't like to be in a crowded anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I am the party.
Mm-hmm.
I create the party. I'm not interested. I have a magnetic aura. That's what I do.
Yes.
But that's just an example. I try to put it in ways so you can visualize it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I might show something to some guys. Listen for
Pass me this cup. I'm gonna put it here, like if I'm drinking from it.
All right, good. So it's like I might. I might show a deal to some guys, and they'll say, "Well, how many revenues do you do? How much this do you do? How many customers do you have?" They look at my Instagram. They say you only have 3,000 followers on Instagram, and I don't say it because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to insult anybody. It'd be disrespectful, whatever. But I'm thinking, fucking moron. I'm going to have 30,000, and then I'm going to have 300,000. I'm going to have 3 million, and
That's
I might have
right.
more.
That's right.
You want to come with me for this ride at 3,000, or you want to wait till you can't get on the train?
That's happened to me many times. People underestimate me, oversee me, and then a couple of months later, a year later, and they're like, "Wow, I didn't," because you didn't know how to recognize. You don't know how to. You don't have that talent, sweetie.
You have to be able to.
So bye.
Right. You have to be able to recognize value.
That's right. That's right.
Eli, what are we doing here?
Waiting on you guys.
We're ready.
You guys are recording.
We're ready.
Oh, we're ready. Oh, okay.
Let me just do a quick intro. What's shaking, everybody? Ross Mandell coming here from Miami, Pod Space in Miami. My guy Eddie, my guy Eli. I don't see them, but I know they're here, and we're sending our love. We got a treat for you right now, boy. I'm entranced by this young woman, Janel Baez. Say hello. What up?
Hi, guys.
Look at that girl. I mean, what? Am I lucky or what?
And I'm lucky too.
Okay, I appreciate
You're
that.
extremely impressive so far.
So far, you hear that? She's measuring me, everybody, and I love that. And I love the challenge. Put down the gauntlet. But I have to say, I met Janel on Instagram. I don't even remember exactly how. I think she made a comment, or she was looking at a post that we did, maybe on the LA fires or something like that.
Yes.
And I saw she had a little blue check mark. So shoot me, I see people with a blue check mark. I'm instantly interested. I click on her Instagram, Janel Baez, the official Janel Baez, I think, right?
Yes.
And check that out, because I was riveted. And she's got a post where she's doing salsa. I didn't know if that was her. I was sure it wasn't her, because that was a star. It was like a Dancing with the Star moment.
Thank you.
But then I looked at her pictures. She's Polo. She's followed by Andrea Ocampo, who's become a good friend of mine, who I hold in very high regard and esteem. And she's got pictures of her in nice form-fitting gowns, is the best thing I could say. And she's super gorgeous and super intelligent. And I'm so psyched that we're meeting today.
Thank you, Ross. So far, I'm very impressed also. Partially that's true, everything that you just mentioned, but also I looked at some of your content and I was impressed, and what the things that you were saying, but most importantly, your story, the story that everybody's talking about. I wasn't very familiar with your story, but I do write for The Rich Reporter, and I was compelled to write a story about you because obviously you're in the space of wealth and you come from Wall Street, and I was just like, how is this guy, made it this far, has overcome so much adversity, and now is, coming up again, which any man or any woman that can face adversity and come out of that and still have the audience's attention is extremely compelling to me. So I think it's very worthy of the story, and, to continue to support you.
Thank you so much. That's appreciate that a lot. and I am on the come up. I love it because I have these viral posts now, and I had like 2,000 followers 4 months ago, and we're just getting started. And Bradley recognized the value right away. That's why his company did 900 million last year. Smart guys are coming to me now, and now we're at 35,000, 37,000. I'm losing count on Instagram. And that's where we've been really focusing most of our attention on social media. But as you know, in the background, we're building raw media. You met the very talented Eli today. They call him the White Wolf. I'm like shocked he's not wearing white. I'm like, I almost didn't recognize him. And by the way, G and Eli are performing Saturday night. Where is it?
Flow State Studios.
Say that a little louder.
Flow State Studios.
Flow State?
Studios.
Flow State Studios. A little shout out, Miami. G and Eli performing for the first time, and Evans is going to be there.
Yeah.
He's the only one that's been inviting me, just so you know. I mean, he goes, "Do you know who I am, Ross? You remember me?" This guy can sing. In fact, I got him a gig February 1st at the church. My niece is getting married. Taylor, Dylan, congratulations. Uncle Ross will be there. And G and Evans and Alice, who I'm a huge fan of this girl, are going to come and sing a song at the church, which is, I think, pretty cool. And we're really excited that we could help, isolate and provide the talent for that. But Janel, let's talk about you. Firstly, your outfit is stunning.
Thank you.
You're so well put together. I understand why you were network television.
Talk to us.
I
I was in media. I was a news anchor. I had a dual role, so I was also the vice president of operations. So anything I drove the political sector, and I covered global, national, and local news. And I really liked it for a while, but what happens is that I'm very opinionated and vocal about certain things, and I quickly realized that reading off a script wasn't, it wasn't fulfilling to me. So I
Wow. Wow. I love it.
because you know what, news anchoring is a very prestigious career.
It is. Listen,
You
you
know?
taught me something today. We had the chance to get to know each other for a little bit, like an hour, I guess, something to that effect. And she's really a brilliant young woman. And there's a lot more than the packaging there. And she says to me, media is very impactful.
Yeah.
And that's a great word.
Yes.
It means so much.
Yes. Well, I think personalized media, as far as social media, it's not traditional media. Traditional media obviously is bought, by other people that
It's bought and paid for. It's all agenda driven.
Of course.
Right.
So, you're kind of directed to say certain things. Sometimes you're not aligned with it. So because I'm the type of person that I am very ethical, I'm not going to say I'm a saint, of course, but I do have integrity. So there are certain things that I wasn't aligned with saying.
Love it.
And I am a free thinker. So certain things I didn't agree with. And within time, I figured out that wasn't for me. I wanted to do, also working very long hours. You're in the studio from very, early in the morning to late at night. And you really don't have control of your own time. So I didn't want to do that kind of media anymore. I prefer much more modern media, like what it is that you're doing with raw media, valuetainment media, Joe Rogan media,
Correct.
Podcasting. It's so much, that's more impactful.
And it's unregulated.
Of course.
And
that's what makes it impactful.
I agree with all those things, and that's why we're doing this. I'm very excited that I can speak freely, and I have nobody, leaning on me. I can't say this, I can't say that.
100%. How did you get to raw media, though?
How I got there? Well, that's a great story, and
Yeah.
I'm going to get to that. But I want to talk about you because you're very interesting.
Thank you.
And I know that the audience is looking at the two of us and saying, I want to hear more about Janel. Fuck Ross, man. Someone said, can we curse? Fuck you.
Thank you.
We can curse, but it's.
Yeah, Ross, you can do whatever you want. I mean,
Don't
it's
say
your
that.
show.
Please. But Janel, tell us, I spoke to you on the phone the first time we spoke. I sent you my number. We communicated. I forget how, but we did. And you said, I'm Lebanese and I'm Cuban. And that really raised the level of interest in my brain, because I have a very dear friend, young man who I mentored 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And he became one of the biggest sports agents in America. He's right here in Miami. Malky Kawa, my brother, shout out First Round Management, Malky Kawa.
Nice.
He's got John Jones. Since John's a UFC fighter, he's the greatest of all time. Ilya Taporia, who could very well be right now the top pound for pound guy in the entire world. He's a world champion, UFC. Malky represents close to 100 fighters, launching this new fight league, Dirty Boxing, which I'm a part of. Raw Media's a part of that. That's coming soon. There's a big event in Coconut Grove.
That's pretty badass.
March 22nd. You can't imagine. It's going to be star-studded. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Malky is Lebanese, Christian, a believer, solid guy. His brother Abe Kawa. Abe, what's up, baby? JR, what's shaking, man? JR runs football. He represents about 30 NFL football players. I mean, household names, Hall of Famers. I mean, it's the real thing. And we did a podcast about a month ago in his studio at First Round Management. And he
You're in
talked
Florida?
in Miami.
Oh, okay.
He's in
Cool,
Miami.
cool.
And he talks about my mentorship and how I changed his life. And this happened before I went to prison. He used to come to my house, about a 10,000 square foot house in Boca. He had an apartment at Trump Tower in New York, and he used to follow me around. We traveled the country as he put on fights and built First Round Management with me, telling him what to do, how to structure this and that. And, one of the most beautiful things is he gives me the credit.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, but people are not like that. They forget. And
Yes, that's true.
he reminded me of things that we did, wisdom that I shared with him, because he was like a hot-headed young guy. And, it was very touching to me at a deep level. And it confirmed my mission today, which is to be impactful for young men and young women and older. I mean, listen, I have a 63-year-old multimillionaire that just completed a mastermind with me, and he just sent me a text saying how grateful he is. 63. He owns houses in Naples. He owns companies. But we did things. I added some flavor to some of his
Life.
opportunities and his life. He's a very cool guy. And just the other day, a 56-year-old doctor signed up, and we're having our first mastermind tomorrow. And he's a guy that's followed me for over 10 years when I just had a Facebook page. And he said, I really want to talk to you, and I really want to. So we had a conversation. And then he says, I want more of this. I want to sign up. And I said, okay. But when Malky talked about all the things, and he remembers the words that I used, and, I don't remember. To be candid, I've been through a lot. And
Maybe because the things that you said provoked some kind of emotion in him. So it was memorable.
well,
It was
I
unforgettable.
gave him wisdom that he's applied to his life.
Yeah.
And he gave specific examples. It changed his life. And that's my mission today. I want to leave a legacy. So the years that I spent fighting the government and being wrongfully prosecuted, wrongfully imprisoned, it's just a footnote in the Ross Mandell story. It's incidental.
Who was in presidency when all that happened?
I got, of course, the Obama years, the lawfare under Biden and Obama was terrible. They used the Department of Justice. They were up for sale. Anybody that could buy a prosecutor. Just look what they did to Donald Trump. 78-year-old ex-president of the United States. All of a sudden, you wake up one month, he's got 92 felony convictions in different states, all controlled by Democrat prosecutors. Now, I understand they're going after all of them, because what they did was illegal and wrongful.
Of course.
Now, when it happened to me, we didn't even have the term lawfare. And now people understand what was done to me. Everybody says, I get all these DMs and the messages, bro, it happened to you before you were Trump before Trump. I said I was.
Yes.
And I used to say, I was a political prisoner. because I was very outspoken. I stepped on a lot of toes. I'm very good at what I do, and I invoked
A
I
movement.
I invoked some fear in some big boys, and they put a hit on me. And at that level, the hit is you go to somebody in the government and say, "Listen, I need this guy to get indicted. I want to cause him some trouble because they couldn't put me out of business. And they couldn't buy my business. That was my fault. At some level, you have to play ball. Now, I understood that, to get to the big table, to be in the big room, the big boys. Well, I understood you gotta do some things. I mean, you're not gonna go out with Janel Baez and ask her to pick up the tab or split the tab with you. It's just not gonna happen. There are certain things that are unspoken and unsaid that you have to realize. And when you play with the big boys, you know they got to get paid.
Yes.
They,
There's always some level of corruption. It doesn't matter. You could be the most ethical, the most to make money. There's always some kind of corruption from either the conservative side and the liberal side. I mean, nobody has clean hands here.
nobody and nobody.
But there are certain ways that they persecute people that serves an agenda more than the other.
Well,
That
yeah.
can be very wrongfully done. So, and sometimes the things that they go after you for has nothing to do really what it is that you did, but they want to make the public perceive it in a certain way just so that they can get whatever fulfills their agenda. So I understand that.
So Janel Baez, where did you grow up? Where were you born?
Born and raised in Miami.
Okay,
Yes, that's why I'm kind of over it, because
I understand.
everybody sees it as sparkly and dazzling and it's Miami, and I've just been here my whole life, so
Right.
it's not a big deal.
That's why we moved to Boca because
Good choice.
you're close enough to Miami that you can come and you can have fun, you can
That's
party,
right.
get a hotel for the weekend. I used to come for a week, 2 weeks, stay at one of the big hotels and get a cabana and just have fun. But peace, quiet, quality of life, the
That's right.
people, it's just beautiful. I mean, there's an expression I used to tell people all the time. I said that if God was a person for just one day, he would come to Boca Raton.
Well, yeah.
I mean that. I just,
Yeah.
it's just a saying, but it's
Yeah.
an
I
expression
like
of,
West Palm also. West Palm.
yeah, it's just an expression though of quality of life.
It's true.
And
I agree.
you don't want all the mishigas, especially when you have, from a man's point of view, you have a woman, you have a wife, you have maybe children, you're starting a family. I mean, to me, you want a place where they have great schools. You don't have to worry about street crime and things today that you got to worry about with kidnapping and child,
Absolutely.
human trafficking. I mean,
Absolutely.
so now you were born in Miami, raised in Miami.
Yes.
Were your parents a healthy couple, or was it divorce? What was
Well, my
happening?
parents separated. My mom and dad separated when I was 3 months old.
3 months old?
Yes.
Wow.
So it was very normal for them not
Right.
to be
You weren't even
together.
aware, really.
No. And I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm sure I can imagine. Who
I'm
was
happy about
Lebanese and who was Cuban?
My mom's side has Lebanese and my dad's side is Cuban. My dad's side also has Portuguese in him. On their side,
Interesting.
yeah. But my father has been married for 36 years to my stepmother. Excellent mother.
So nice.
And my mom is kind of somewhat a scholar. She has about 4 different degrees. She's in healthcare, so she runs nursing homes, and she's also a nurse practitioner. So very ambitious, very boss like lady.
I like it. That shows because you're a little bit of a boss. I get
Yes,
that.
yes.
Did your mom ever remarry?
She did. She married, and I think she remarried, and 8 years later got a divorce, and so you can see a pattern,
Yep.
in both sides.
Yeah. Look, it happens.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's part of our life today. It's just
Yeah.
it's not
Well,
abnormal.
what happens is when a woman is also very masculine, and she's used to maybe like survival mode. Growing up, she grew up, in survival mode.
I understand.
My grandfather was in the military for Cuba, always traveling, always, she didn't have a father. So my grandmother, her mom, had 3 jobs, was never home. So she really had to fend for herself. And that bleeds into your romantic life as, when you're a woman. So when you're very masculine like that and you're used to being like that, it's detrimental to your marriage or a partnership with a man. Usually the man wants to take the lead and wants to
Interesting.
and if you
I
don't
get that.
submit at a certain level,
Right. I get that. I get that.
yeah.
I was living with a doctor, a young woman. She looked a lot like you, a
Hmm.
very beautiful woman, and she was in survival mode. She was a bit of a boss, and at some point, because I'm a boss, it got uncomfortable
Hmm.
for me, and she just become a doctor. Actually started dating her and living with her when she was at the end of her schooling. And then I put her in practice, and then she became like this different person. And I understand it today, but it wasn't for me. I had decided at that point I didn't want, at that point in my life, I was pretty, I had my own brokerage firm. I was very successful. I was a big name. I was sober. I had clarity of mind,
Hmm.
solid business, and
Because she was overpowering.
I just didn't want that life.
Yeah.
I wanted a woman that when I left for the day, I'm a morning guy. No news is on. I'm following the stock market. I'm a news junkie. I pay attention to all these different things all day, every day.
Hmm.
And I need to know what's happening in not just the world, but in the markets, in
Hmm.
the political world, in the business world, everything affects the stock market. And that's just been a constant in my life since before you were born, right? Yeah, so every day.
Hmm.
And she was into her own thing. And I wanted a woman that
Could be a part of your world too.
not just a part of my world. I wanted to make a world with her.
Yes.
And she was she was the CEO of our world. I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
her to take care of all the social obligations, the house, the furnishings, the children, and all that. And this little girl wanted me to get her a 4-carat ring and all these different things. And I'm like, you know, I don't need that kind of advice. I just didn't like, at one point, I'll never forget, we got into a cab or a car service, and I was very annoyed because the guy was late, and I had important things to do, and I didn't like the guy's attitude. And so I put him in his place. I'm not an animal. I'm not what I consider terribly rude. I know exactly what I'm saying and
Of
how I'm
course.
saying. I know how to handle myself
Right.
in a very sort of, I can be rough,
Hmm.
at times. I was mad.
Hmm.
And
Well, that's a masculine trait. I
she
mean,
started
it's
bad
normal.
mouthing me
Hmm.
and telling the driver that, correcting me. There's an expression from The Godfather when Fredo says something to
Yeah.
Michael Corleone. He goes, "Don't ever go against the family, Fredo."
Yeah.
And that was it.
Hmm.
That was like a line in the sand. I never looked at it the same way again. You don't correct me.
Hmm.
I don't care if you think I'm right or wrong. If we're a partnership, we'll talk about things privately.
Absolutely.
Don't scold me in front of a cab driver or a limo. You know what I mean? A limo driver.
Yeah. Which goes back to what we were talking about earlier,
Yes.
that men like to be respected. And the Bible talks about it when, God gives the order of, women respect your man and man love your woman, because women need to be loved, but men need to be respected.
Interesting.
Yes.
I never heard it put that way.
Yeah. Well, it's in the Bible, but yeah, that's,
Very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you have women that, and you know what, I don't think there's anything wrong with women having their own career or anything, but I think as far, for the most part, when they go home, you're a boss at work, but at home, it's important for the man to kind of take on more the leadership role, because after a while, I think a man loses that attraction towards, I mean, I don't know, because then there's men that they really like those overpowering women and they find it incredibly hot. They're like, wow, she's so dominating. She's so,
Because then they have them in the bedroom. It's
yeah.
but yeah, I'll tell you something very interesting, because you brought up God, and I believe in God, and I believe in
Yes.
Scripture. I've studied all. I'm like a half a theologist,
Hmm. I like that a lot.
and
That's great.
it's very interesting because I've studied all this, and I say to you, do you know what the first commandment was? There's a first commandment. No one knows unless you've studied. It's a trick. It's a trap because everyone's thinking about the 10 commandments.
Right. That's
But the first commandment, when God said he's kicking them out of the Garden of Eden because they violated the rules. It wasn't a commandment, but there was a rule. You don't eat from this tree. You only eat from everything else. This and that. It wasn't a commandment. But the commandment, he said, go, be fruitful, and multiply. That was God's first commandment. And the 10 Commandments comes 2,000 years later.
wow.
Moses goes to the Mount Sinai, comes down 40 days later with the tablets, the golden calf, and all that. So be fruitful and multiply. See, he's letting them know. He's letting Eve know. You could be a boss. Multiply. That was the first commandment in 2,000 years. So people lose that. And I'm very aware of that. And if I had the opportunity to multiply, to make kids, it's the only regret I have. If you ask me what are my regrets, it wasn't prison, it wasn't about money, it wasn't about stature, all these different things. It was, I would have had more children.
Yeah.
Because when you get older, you start to realize it's a good thing.
It is.
It's a very special thing.
But in today's world, we're living in a very modernized world. Okay.
Correct.
So when we want to apply these things that are biblical, and we say women should be multiplying, because that's basically insinuating, it's implying that go be a mother. Okay. To be a mother nowadays, it requires a lot. Okay,
A lot.
Emotionally,
I get it.
psychologically, physically, financially. You need a true leader to be your partner. And what we're talking about
Well, you
earlier
need a real partner.
so when we're talking about,
Right.
these men that, and I said, well, I don't know, because there's some men that are even in their 40s that they lack emotional maturity. And you said, no, because, women just don't understand men, and men don't. And it's not that women don't understand men, is that men either they need, I don't know how they're going to gain that emotional maturity.
Many of them won't.
Many of them
Never will.
Right. So women have encountered, a lot of grief, a lot of sorrow, a lot of trauma from these men that lack this emotional maturity. And it all comes down to the man having to be a very strong leader to build these communities up again. And a lot of things contribute to this. There's a lot of contributing factors as to why men have lost that trait, political agendas and just many other things, culture, but it needs to go back to that. And then women can feel safe again to start multiplying how God directed in the first place and the first commandment. Because when you have these men that, they lack that intelligence, that leadership quality, and then they react, you say, no, because women are very emotional. Actually, I have been in many dynamics and relationships, and even in courting situations where I'm actually more emotionally regulated.
What does that mean? Emotionally regulated. Love that. Never heard of that.
It means that I'm highly analytical, but I'm also very patient. So I'm observant, I'm very grounded. So if this man doesn't get something his way, he will be the one that's overly emotional. And then he'll get even more emotional because I don't react.
He gets frustrated.
Yeah, emotional. He'll
Say it. I want to hear the words.
He'll, I don't know. He'll not want to see me again. He'll, say horrific things and
He'll act out.
yes, or as Gen Zers call it today, he'll crash out.
Is that what they say? Damn, I got to get
That's
up
what
on.
they say. I'm teaching you, Ross.
I'm so out of it.
So they'll act out, and they'll say terrible things, and they'll speak to you in a very derogatory way, and they'll talk you down.
I hate to say it. You're getting to know them at that point.
Of course, because their character is revealed.
Now they're revealing themselves.
Of course,
because
which is very important.
They're frustrated.
Yes, which is great because that goes to show their level of maturity. And that to me is an indication as this is not the right partner. Now,
No, there's no question.
Yes.
But let me say, today, for the first time, men, and I'm a man, I'm speaking, I go on Instagram, I go on TikTok, and I'm looking at all these beautiful women, bikinis, dancing, thongs, from every age. I mean, the pornography's everywhere. Even the highest caliber of women are showing their bodies, and maybe not even intentionally, but when I was growing up, you never saw these kind of things. They just weren't acceptable. You know, I mean, when miniskirts were big in the 60s and 70s, men were children. We're like, ooh la la, this is like wild for men. Women don't understand how the effect that they have on men. If they did, they would really change their game. You don't know if you have power, that's great. But if you don't really understand that you have this power, you really can't use it intelligently. So,
Well, there's a lot of men that are already around that. So when they're exposed to women, like I know fashion designers, people in the music industry, they're around women that are in bikinis all day. They're in naked all day.
Well, everything becomes just a matter
They
of
don't
fact.
care.
Right.
They don't care.
And
They don't care.
but that's one of the things that this is like putting Miracle Grow fertilizer on emotionally immature men.
Right, of
Because
course.
I want you. You know, we just had dinner. Aren't you going to go dance for me in lingerie now?
Right.
I mean,
but
I get
there
frustrated.
has to be a point or some kind of education where there has to come to that point of it where you have to start teaching. Women are not perfect either, of course. Like there's a lot of things that women need to work on also.
Really?
Yes.
You see, here I am. I was the women were perfect. I'm shocked right now.
But at the end of the day, men are the leaders. So, so when they say, well, women this, women that, but who is feeding into these things? The men. But more importantly than that, some men operate from the reptilian brain, okay? And when people say, this is how men are, no, because this is why there's evolution. So the more education we have on something, the more it's in your control to change your programming. So it's your responsibility to evolve and become that high caliber man that you say you are or that you want to be. The same thing, applies to women. So when somebody's because, when we were cavemen, yes, we are no longer cavemen and women. This is why evolution exists.
Men haven't
so
evolved.
let's move
Men
past
haven't
that.
evolved that much. I hate to say it.
A
like
lot of
that.
them have, though, but the majority haven't. But the majority haven't.
We're somewhere between caveman and sophisticated man. I have been called a caveman throughout the course of my life, so I'm taking offense to that. I just want you to understand.
Yeah. And usually it indicates those are the men that are more emotional.
A lot of women have said to me, "You're like a fucking caveman."
Yeah. Yeah.
And the truth is, I don't see it that way.
Because if you can't control your urges, that, it'll lead you to destruction.
Right. Well, it has for me.
Right.
I'm an addict.
Right. So what happens is that, and this is what we're also talking about, when you apply that wisdom, that experience that you went through, and now you're applying that wisdom, now that's intelligence, because now you can move forward and now do things like you want to impact the world, you want to impact people in a different way, because you're applying the things that you've been through.
You see, I learned something yesterday, I had a fascinating experience, and it's been on my mind since yesterday. I can't get it off my mind. It just triggered me again. So I have a studio up in Delray, in TW Interiors, Tiffany Woolley Interiors. She's one of the top interior decorators in all of Palm Beach. Okay. You understand?
Yeah.
Top of the top. And she was the Paris Hilton, just so you know, at Boca Raton growing up. Her dad owned Hatteras, which was at the time maybe the biggest yacht company in the world. They make the 100-foot yachts. It's Hatteras, a big name today still, but I mean back then I don't even know how to explain it. So she's in the 40s, and my good friend Scott Woolley, they've been married got married in like 2001. Couldn't even figure it out yesterday, but they've been together since '97. But they were friends, and Scott Woolley grew up in the supermarket business. He's been working in supermarkets since he's 10 years old. Mm-hmm. His dad owned Food Town on Long Island. But growing up, we used to shop at Food Town. So I'm like in awe now that this guy and his father owned Food Town. And eventually they had Woolley supermarkets, which after they sold it, moved to Boca, were very wealthy. He was very, they lived down the block from Billy Joel.
Nice.
Just so you know, on Long Island, you know what I mean? And his sister went to work for Billy because she was a neighborhood girl, and Billy said, "Listen, I need someone to help me out with this stuff. Would she be my assistant? His sister Debbie." So it's a great story. And so Scott is a guy. He's about 6 feet, maybe 6'2", 6'1". Not a particularly good-looking guy. Bald now and all that. But he's, was an athlete and grew up on Long Island and comes from a very wealthy background. And he had a series of girlfriends, and he used to throw the greatest parties. In fact, there's a Super Bowl party, which I'll be happy to invite you to, at his home, which is, it speaks for itself.
I'll take that invitation.
Yeah, you will. Trust me, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's coming up. But so Scott was with the Playboy Playmate of the Year. That was his girlfriend, and then the Hawaiian Tropic Girl. In Woolies supermarkets, eventually he built it up. He had 40 or 60 supermarkets in Florida, and they sold it because he wanted to go into entertainment. And Woolies became the Whole Foods that you know today. That's the franchise that it evolved. He had the first upscale supermarkets going back 40 years. And he ended up forming a company called 5 Star Entertainment. And he had boxes at the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Heat. He produced for 51 sports teams, all of their media. And this is my partner, one of my partners in Raw Media, so you understand. Mm-hmm. And he had the biggest TV studio in South Florida for 25 years. Mm-hmm. He's won Emmys, Grammys, EGOT. He never won an Oscar. He won.
What's his name?
Scott Woolley. S.J. Woolley, Scott Woolley.
Let's see.
And TW Interiors. They're just now starting on social media. But he's produced films, television shows, but 200 television shows. Shows that you know.
Oh, Scott Wood, yeah.
You'll see. I'll take you into his office, and you'll see what he has on his walls. Letters and platinum albums from Paul McCartney and Bruce Springsteen. These are his mentors. These are guys he counts as his mentors.
Cool.
And
this triggered you yesterday?
I'm going to explain to you. So now he's with all these women, but everybody in his world was trying to introduce him to Tiffany. Now, Tiffany was the Paris Hilton of Boca Raton. I explained to you who she is. She's like 5'6", 5'7", very thin, athletic body, beautiful girl, blonde, blue eyes, dad owns Hatteras. And everybody kept going to Scott. I mean, John Henry was one of his closest friends. He owns the Boston Red Sox and a bunch of big sports teams. And they were like, you got to meet this woman. This is the girl you got to meet. And he meets her a bunch of times, and she's beautiful, but he's, with this girl and that girl, whatever. But he starts hanging out with Tiffany. And I'm trying to get him to say, you saw Tiffany and you went crazy. And they just hang out as friends. And I said, what do you mean? And so eventually this couple, this guy Brett and this ice skating champion who won the gold medal for the Olympics, won Dancing with the Stars, most famous ice skater in the world. And Brett won the Stanley Cup, was an NHL player, 17 years. They said, you're like Forrest Gump. She's in your life. And I'm trying to get him to say, I wanted to say, you were all over her, you were attracted to her, you had sex with her.
Yeah, just to admit it.
And he won't. He says, no, we were just friends we hung out for like 2 years. We were hung out for 2 years, and then one day I realized, so all my friends, all these athletes were like, if you're not with her, I'd like to take her out for dinner.
Oh,
and
I'm
then
sure.
One day he realized, he said, I don't want to go out for dinner with this guy. I don't want to go out for dinner with anybody. And he said that day it turned. Mm-hmm. But it was revealed later on that every woman he was ever with, he broke up with. Except when he was at St. John's and he was a young man working in a radio station and for a record company and the supermarkets on the weekends, he had a girl he loved, 17 years old. She broke up with him. She ended it. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him. I know him for years. We're very good friends. Families are friends. I know the kids. He was painful just talking about it. I've never heard this story. I've heard every story in the world. And she's like, she broke my heart. She dumped me. I had it on camera. It's amazing.
Wow.
I felt like it was a moment. For the rest of his life, no matter how much he loved the girl, he broke up with her first. Because he was afraid of getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a real reveal.
Yeah.
This is a world-class guy. And he's got everything. And she's unbelievable. She's world gorgeous, one of the nicest people.
So he never stayed with anybody ever?
Ever. Because he was so hurt and damaged. And he was
He
afraid.
couldn't surpass the trauma. He couldn't
He
surpass
couldn't
it.
trust a woman, so he would hang out with women before he would even, be romantic. He calls it, which to me is just having sex. He stayed away from that. But he reveals this on camera, and this went on for 20 years. And he always ended these relationships. And I think he was afraid to even have a relationship with Tiffany because he doesn't trust anybody. So women don't understand.
His ego is very bruised.
A man
Yes.
had his heart broken in a way that women don't understand, and he was damaged. You would never know it from his lifestyle. Firstly, he works 15 hours a day. He's not interested in chasing women. There's a great expression I saw on social media, which is, you don't become the king by chasing the queen. You become the king by chasing the throne. And that's a lesson for all you men out there. You're never going to become anything by chasing the queen. Forget it. You get the throne and watch how many queens show up. I'm just saying. So he was so damaged. It was on camera. And Tiffany's stone cold gorgeous. I mean, the whole thing. And but he was so distrusting. Now that I had to think about that all night. Why? Then I looked at my own story, and I have my own issues with women. I've learned. I'm so distrusting of women. To let a woman into my... A lot of women say, you're single now. It's the first time you're single in like 30 years. I mean, are you on Hinge? Are you on Tinder? Hang out with my boy Eli.
Yo.
I mean, these guys have more women than I have clothes, and I have a lot of clothes. And but I'm not even interested. I don't. I was just... The reason I went to prison was people. People lied about me because they were in trouble. And how many women actually wrote me letters, sent me a book, said nice things about me? A lot of people, a lot of guys, guys that are very manipulative. They're ranted. My wife, ex-wife, said bad things about me with the idea that they're going to get a shot at her, as if. I'm just saying. So loyalty. So we're a product of our experiences. That's why I asked you about your parents.
Of course.
We are a product as human beings, male or female. There are only two genders. I'm sorry, guys. You can act
we've
out.
already established that.
Well,
Science
no.
has
A lot of people are fighting us back. There's lawsuits and everything. I'm just saying, you can act out all you want, and I that's okay. It's okay with me. Everybody should have your own. But you can't try and tell me what I think. That's not right. I don't tell you what to do or not do. You don't tell me. So I just wanted to establish that with you, that it's just something that, because I got into his story through this powerful medium of podcasting, he's never said this before to anybody, and it was on camera, 2.5 hours. Before we started, he goes, "What am I going to say?" He goes, "I don't like talking." He said, "Listen," he doesn't say much. Very quiet guy. And I couldn't get him to shut up. 2.5 hours. So I've been thinking about my own story, how damaged I am from a lot of stuff. And this woman, I told you that she broke my heart because I could have spent my life with her, but I still love her. Maybe she's one of my close friends. She lives up a block. She had a beautiful home and all that stuff. Her daughter calls me Daddy Ross. I helped raise her and all that. But I drew a line in the sand at some point when I got sober, at some point, to protect myself, I just said, that's it. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I think women probably go through this too, more than men. But men never talk about it.
Right. I think one of the reasons why Elon Musk has created so many robots and sees a future of robots is because their ability to move quickly on from things, which is advantageous to society.
Let me ask you a question, because this is what the world wants to know. So you told me this, I think we're off camera. You were very young. Obviously, you're a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
I'm sure you weren't like an ugly duckling when you were 19. So you met a guy in what, high school or college?
I met him, when I was 19 years old.
And you married him when you were 19?
Yes.
So it was an impulsive thing.
Yeah, he was my first real boyfriend. and he was the son of a pastor, and he was in the military. So, it was a very passionate beginning, and many contributing factors as to why we should get married. Son of a pastor, to have relations, to live together,
Right. I get it.
so
I get it.
it all made sense, and it was very aligned to get
Now,
married.
this happened in Miami.
Yes,
So you met in Miami, and you actually got married
in Miami.
in Miami. And
And then he went on tour to
which
war.
branch of military was he?
Army.
He was in Army, okay. And so you said you were sent to Germany.
Well, he left to Iraq, Afghanistan, did all those things.
You didn't follow him there,
No, of course
obviously. Not. Thank God. I'm thinking. Where were
then
you
when he
living? You
finished-
stayed at home?
Yes.
Okay. And you were married. He's paying the bills, I'm guessing, right?
Yes. He was maintaining. I wasn't working or anything. Being a military wife
he the
is
same age
very
as you?
high stressful.
We the same age?
No, he's 8 years older.
8 years older. So,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Fellas, you understand? She's already been with an older guy.
Yes.
You got a shot.
Yes. And he was an excellent husband. He really was. I think the war kind of messed him up a little bit, but
Which war?
it was Iraq, Afghanistan.
That's when we invaded
all
Iraq, George Bush and all that, 9/11.
I had to go to Kuwait, all that mess, all that stuff.
Holy shit, he was in all that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's serious
He was
stuff.
airborne also, so he would jump out of airplanes.
An airborne
and-
ranger, maybe.
Yeah.
Well-built
Yeah.
guy, real man.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Manly man. Now, was he Cuban? Was he Lebanese?
American.
White guy.
Yes. Well,
Fellas.
actually, white, green eyes, but parents were Cuban. He was born in. He's like me, American with Cuban parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if I saw him, I might think he's a white guy.
Yeah, because he was pale white with green eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fellas, we got a shot here.
Yeah. So we got married, and I moved to Germany, and although it was a great experience, it was just a lot because I didn't have family or friends.
Nobody.
Yeah, and I lived on a military base. I don't know. I guess because I truly didn't know
Did
him.
you get a
well enough.
house, a military house?
Yes.
They give you a little house?
Yes.
What was his title or his rank?
Corporal.
Okay, he was a corporal, so he was
Yeah.
in some unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he became very jealous and possessive and controlling.
Revealing, see? Aha.
Like I couldn't go. I couldn't go to the gym alone. I couldn't do anything alone. So
It's not because of your personal safety, he was jealous.
yeah, just it's where we lived is full of men.
Yeah.
There are men everywhere, and American men
Fit men.
tend to they're very attracted to exotic looking women.
Beautiful women.
Right.
Exotic is just a whole
So,
other thing, yeah.
Which I understood, and at that time, because I'm very understanding. I understand psychology, human behavior.
You didn't cheat on him, did you?
No,
Okay.
no. Extreme, and let's say even if I did, do you think I would say that on camera?
Some women do. Some women are honest. Men are honest too.
I didn't. I
Scott
didn't.
Woolley was completely honest with me yesterday.
Yeah.
I was blown away. I was speechless. And then last night, I'm in the middle of so many different things. I was on the phone for 3-4 hours.
You know what? I want to go back to what you were
Yeah.
talking about, men and okay. So let's do a compare and contrast between the marriages that have lasted a lifetime, these people that have been together for years and years and years. I would say the common denominator in these marriages and these legacies, because that's what they are, they're legacies.
I
That's
agree.
why God gives Adam a wife, Eve, okay?
He actually takes a rib out of his chest.
Exactly.
From
When
the
when
rib of
Adam
Adam
when
is
Adam
made.
was alone, he didn't give him friends. He said, "Here's a wife." Okay. The common denominator is that these people are so level-headed and they can overcome any adversity. The common denominator is that they focus more on the legacy and the life mission than on momentary happiness or fulfilling their momentary
Well,
urges.
Can I
and it goes for both ways, men.
I just
and
want to
women.
say this to you. So I got sober. I was 33 years old. I went from being a multi-millionaire. I had more money than I thought was done, really, to where I actually owe $1 million. And I'm coming back. And I'm successful. I've become very successful.
And
What-
you'll be more.
Of course, but I'm just saying that, so I get sober too now. So now I'm not just working and going to 2 AA meetings a day. I'm working out 5 days a week. And I become like a machine, literally. And when I'm not working, I'm going to these Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and my whole life revolves around these meetings. Anything I get involved in, I'm pretty passionate about. And I wanted to grow. It's like I woke up at 33 years old. I started using the day my father died, was buried. And they say I was retarded emotionally from that minute when I started using addictively. And for every year I use drugs addictively or alcoholically, they say that it takes at least a month. So I went on a 17-year run. It takes me 17 months just to catch up to being 33 as a man. And there's so much wisdom in all this, I can't tell you. It's like I'm like the poster child for this. You can really just, study me, and you'll see. And after a year in AA, sober and clean, a year, I'm now running meetings. I'm making money again. I can run 5 miles after lifting weights and squatting, 400 pounds. I'm not happy. I want more. I feel like I'm not improving enough. So I said, I talked to some guys. That's how I always do things in life. I talk to men that I feel have something I don't have.
Right.
That's how I've lived my life. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have social media. We didn't have computers.
Well, what you're seeking is true connection.
Well, no, what I was seeking is a path. How did you get to this point? I have money and I have a good body and I'm fit, but you're so patient and kind and thoughtful. I look at this guy and his life. It's like I want what he has. That's it. So.
Yeah. I think that one of the things also that stand out about me to these men that create these legacies, that have these long-lasting marriage for all their life, is that their minds are not frivolous.
Well, I'm going to explain to you so I seek help.
They're very decided, and then they stay.
Well, I'm going to share
path.
with you, because I went through this, because now I'm all of a sudden, I'm 35. I'm making, a couple $100,000 a month. Paid off everything, saving money, building, buying, exchange. I'm good with investments. I'm very good and clever with buying and selling, all these things. And I'm lonely. I lost all my best friends. Marijuana, alcohol, cocaine, all the dealers, all the limo drivers, all these things were now out of my life. And I was lonely. And I said, I'm ready for a woman. And so I go into psychotherapy. Guy who was after one meeting, and I thought I was pretty together. I'm not the normal guy that goes in. I already have money. I already came back. I'm clean and sober. I'm in AA. I run a meeting. Big Wall Street guy. He goes, I think you got to come in twice a week. I said, Dr. Canal, why? He's the father of the study of addiction in the books online. Okay. He passed away right before my wedding, which I never would have happened if not for him. And I said, I'm looking for a wife. I want to have kids. It's time. I'm 35. I haven't had a drink or drugs in over a year. And he didn't say much. He let me talk most of the time. That's what the brilliant guys do. That you actually come to these realizations. He just steers you. And when we get to marriage, men and women, he said the single most important thing, if you're going to looking to pick a mate, to have common goals. Common goals. I said, what does that mean, Dr. K? He says, well, because I've been married 40 years. When I first met my wife, I couldn't stop thinking about it. We were in the bedroom as often as I could handle it. There was tons of passion. And as you know, he was a neurosurgeon who then became a very famous guy. He was a neurosurgeon who then became a psychiatrist because he felt that he could help more people with his mind and with his words than he could operating on their brains. Amazing guy.
Sounds brilliant.
He is, and I didn't believe I thought he was lying, and I had to check him up. I didn't trust him at first.
Yeah.
7 years of psychotherapy. He says, common goals. He goes, Ross, I promise you that no matter how much you have in common, no matter how much you love, as you go through life, there are times you're going to drift. People drift apart. Families do. Friendships.
Marriages,
There's a lot of drift. If you get married to a mate, if you have common goals, you're going to drift, right? But you're drifting in the same direction. you're drifting in the same direction. So I found the woman I told you I was with, actually looked like you. Loved her, respect all these different things, but she had a different goal. She wanted to be the most renowned dentist in all of New York. And she is. She achieved her goal. And I wanted a woman that was going to be a stay-at-home mom. We'll go into the gym. We'll do whatever she wants to do. But I didn't want to have her to worry about having a job, being an employer. She had the checkbook. I let her handle the money, whatever the family money, the family money, trust, all these different things. She never had to worry about any of that. And she wanted to just have kids and raise children and do things with her kids and be that mom and take care of the house and take care of her husband and, I want to say cook, but she never cooked because
I mean,
she wasn't a cook.
that's one thing out of a million things. It's okay.
We took care of
Not
that.
everybody's
But no, we
perfect.
took
Yeah.
care of it. I don't expect that. I'm not that
course.
kind of guy.
Yeah.
We whatever we do. So, and he was right. And I have to say this to you because the most important thing is common goals.
Absolutely.
And if two people get together, I don't care about the sex, I don't care how it looks on the outside, I don't care how it fits when you're together. You have to agree on your basic game plan. I'm going to do this, I'm going to travel, I'm going to make the money, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. As long as I'm breathing, you count on me. You're not going to have to worry about this, that, and the other thing. I want you to stay home. I want you to be loyal to me. I want someone I can trust. I want you to have a child, etc., so forth. No matter how much you agree on all that, that's with the passion and all that. As long as you have common goals, you can drift. At some point, you drift. You're still going in the same direction. This other girl, and I'll tell you, her name is Melanie. Everything she wanted, she achieved. She got a 4-carat ring, square cut, emerald cut. She's got a big dental practice, the biggest in New York City, from what I'm told, at East 63rd Street. Someone from her family just reached out to me, Violet LeCarry. I know the name. I love you guys. Send Marilyn and Sonny my love. Tell Lorelai I love her and miss her. But the bottom line is, we had different goals. You understand? It's so basic, but of course I'm so convoluted at this time. This man showed me how to think. So I'm with this doctor, living with this doctor, but I'm having a secret affair with my sales assistant, who was 23 years old. I was paying her $16,000 a year. I was giving her more in cash just to go at functions. I felt guilty because I'm with her during the day, and then I go home to this woman. And he says, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I'm going to marry Melanie. She's a doctor, and everybody loves her, respects her, and holds her in high regard. That's what I need, right? I'm a financial principal. I own a bank, I own a brokerage firm, etc."
Right. It's what looks right.
Right. And he says, "Well, what are you going to do with Stephanie?" I said, "I love Stephanie." He goes, "What are you going to do with Stephanie? You going to keep having this affair and cheating on her and lying?" And I said, I don't think I can live without Stephanie." He goes, "I have an idea. Why don't you marry Stephanie?" And I said, "Dr. Knauert, she's a secretary. She's my sales assistant. Marry her." He goes, "Do you love her?" I said, "I love her." He said, "Sexually compatible with her?" I said, "Yeah." "Oh, yeah." He says, "What'd you think about it?"
So.
I ended up marrying Stephanie.
Oh, okay.
But it never even occurred to me.
Yeah.
This is how pathetic. And I was a very successful man. I was considered one of the 10 most eligible bachelors in New York City, on by a big TV show, game show host, show host, talk show. I was number like 7 in all of New York City, millions of guys. And yet, I was so pathetic in the ways of male and female relationships. And today, even though Stephanie divorced me, as I begged her to do, because I was gone for 10 years and things happened, we're the best of friends. She handles my company. I mean, you understand?
Of course.
Because we have the same goals. She still takes care of the kids and makes sure the family's okay, even though we're separated and we live separately and all these different things. But I have someone I can rely on. She's never betrayed me, never let me down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Have you betrayed her or let her down? I'm going to take that as a yes, Ross.
Obviously. Because
Yes.
I went to prison.
Yes.
I went to prison. My stuff was very public. They made TV shows about me.
Yeah.
I'm the finale of American Greed, the hit TV show. Season 9, I'm the finale.
Yeah.
They sent me a letter. I'm in prison. I was deemed the most important case of 2011 in the whole country.
Yeah. So the thing with life is that, and this is a principle, it's just a common scientific metaphysical thing, okay? And it goes back to the Hermetic principles, cause and effect. The way that we live is going to reflect later on in life. What we do now reflects
No question.
down the line.
There's no question.
So
They call it, some people
when
call
we
it karma.
say, right, but if scientists call it cause and effect.
Yeah, of course.
And I try to keep it as non-religious as possible so everybody can resonate with it, right?
Correct.
So cause and effect, the way you treat a person now is later on how somebody else would treat you. What you do in the dark eventually will come to light. And it's like time and time again, like history has shown that pattern.
Correct.
So when we say, I want to marry this person, I'm going to be this person, I'm going to, the way it starts, it's not always the way it ends, but the way that you carry out that pattern throughout that, trajectory, it's going to be shown eventually. But again, like my father always tells me, the reason why I've been married almost 37 years to my wife is because for the first couple of years, I was madly in love and, there was so much passion and, we're always in the bedroom, how everybody says, but after a while that fizzles out. But we have common goals and we have common goals and we have, this thing where it's, where do you see yourself in 60 years, 50 years?
Right.
Do you see yourself with me? Even though we're not every day, but do we want grandchildren? Do you see yourself traveling with me for the rest of your life? They travel 6 times a year, like they're always in Europe.
Common
they're
goals.
always,
Some people don't want to travel.
and they're in their 60s, but that's their common goals. That brings them together. That brings
Right.
romance to their relationship.
My wife used to say to me, go, do your business, because I'm an international banker. She said, I'm staying home with the kids. She said, go.
Yeah.
Some of my guys that would come with me, their wives every 10 minutes were calling them. Can't you come home? I miss you. This is going on. That's going. They handled the business of the household differently. So that's this thing I shared today with you, that I got that from a world famous psychiatrist, and it applied to me in my life. And this Melanie, she ended up and achieving her goals.
Good for her.
Right, but you understand, she wanted to stay in Manhattan. She wanted to raise her kids in Manhattan.
Yeah.
To go to the best schools in
There was
Manhattan.
no alignment between you two.
Right, and I was really, I really wanted to stay in the city too. So we had a place in the city. Now we had a place
So
over
now,
there.
now we're gonna go back to when you say my friend.
But 1 second, I just
Yeah.
want to get some. So now you're married to, I didn't get his first name.
His name was Ramon.
Ramon. Oh, what a name, Ramon. When I think of Ramon, I think of, a Latin lover. But Ramon took you to Germany. You lived there for how long?
A year and a half.
Okay. Now, I'm thinking that you didn't have common goals with Ramon.
Well, I was 19. What did I know about goals?
Right, that's why I would never, if you were
I
my
just
friend
saw
or my
this really
daughter,
hot
I
guy,
would have killed you.
was
I get it.
madly in love with me.
Correct.
Gave me the moon and the stars.
Right.
Spoiled me. We were both very adventurous together. Made me laugh. We can talk about
Right.
anything. And I said, "That's a
But
husband."
now you're living in Germany, and he doesn't want to let you go out. He's possessive. That's the
Yes.
word, right?
Yes.
And so then what happens? I mean, how long before you say, this is not for me?
Well, I got very sick, and in the military, they don't know how to address the root cause of, mental issues or emotional issues. They just give you a lot of medications. So I was pretty much always medicated to not feel anything.
Can I ask
Because
you
I
what,
was
what they
away.
were giving you?
Clonazepam, temazepam, what's the antidepressant? What is that called?
Zoloft.
But not. It wasn't Zoloft. It was another one.
Okay, so you're taking antidepressants, and then
Yes.
you're taking things
Stuff
to
for
help you sleep?
anxiety, to sleep,
Right.
everything.
Well, you're across the world.
Well, I didn't have friends.
No
I didn't
friends,
have-
no parents.
I was a stay-at-home. Mind you, I come from Miami, beaches, sun.
Right. And you
You know,
stay at
I'm
home with no children.
extremely social.
And you're home with no children.
No children.
You're very social.
Extremely social. Highly inquisitive, highly adventurous, highly
so-
active.
Tell us what happens. So now, I know that there's an ending with Rome. I'm
Yes.
assuming you're not married still.
So then I noticed how sick I am, And I call my father one day because I'm the type of person that I don't gossip and I don't go around talking about my personal issues. I manage it myself. I'm very good at that. I'm extremely mature when it comes to that. When it comes to the point where I can't take it anymore, I will seek help. So I called my father one day and I said, Dad, I want to go home. And he tells me, what are you talking about? You're super happy. You know, you seem so happy and this and that. I'm very strong. And I tell him, well, no, Dad, I'm actually very sick. And for months, they diagnosed me here with clinical depression, and I've been on all kinds of medications. I'm not doing well. So my dad just broke down in tears crying because I'm a daddy's girl. You know,
I do know.
He's always raised me to be loving and gregarious and, give me, So he was just also upset that I didn't go to him sooner. And he says, when is the soonest that you can leave? And I tell him, tomorrow. And he goes, bought me a $2,000 ticket one way.
Did Ramon know?
I told Ramon that.
You're going home?
That night.
What'd you tell him, if you don't mind?
I tell him, I just called my father, and I'm not telling you that we're divorcing or that, our marriage is over, but I need to get well. I need to be close to family, and I need to have a normal life.
I have to ask you a couple of questions just for the
Yes.
audience and for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Were you still sleeping with me, still having an active sex life?
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
I was
I
sick.
get it.
I
Okay,
couldn't.
that's that. So this is it.
And
So
the medications, those types of medications, they.
All right, I've taken them all, so you know.
Yeah.
I get it. But okay, so things were falling apart between you and him.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't really. You're trying to internalize it all. You're taking lots of medication. Like that's going to fix the problems with him.
Mm-hmm.
So now you go back to Miami. Now what happens?
I start getting my life in order again.
Did you file for divorce or no?
I did after 2 months of being there. Well, because
How old were you at this time?
I was 21.
So you're 21 now,
Yeah.
newly divorced, or not yet?
Not yet.
It's in process.
But when I tell him I'm going
Right.
home the next day, he hides my passport. Because he didn't want me to leave. So,
Right.
he has my passport, and I had to get the police officers on the base
I
to come
understand.
in.
Now it's a very unhealthy situation. The whole thing.
And that's what triggered me to say, okay, I'm not going to tell him right now that I'm going to divorce him.
Right. But okay,
I'll keep it to myself,
So
but-
there were problems now for a long minute.
Well, yes, because I would
These were
address
real
it.
relationship problems.
Of course, and it happens every day. I would address it with him. I would say, I am very sick. I am very unhappy. I need you to give me space. I
Right.
want to do things on my own. I want to go to Miami for at least 2 weeks and just be with my sisters and my mom and my
You're one of the
dad.
most independent women I've sat with. The way you handle yourself, the way you conduct yourself, I get it.
Yes.
So what I just want to know is, so now, moving along, you fly back now,
A month later in Miami, I filed for divorce.
and did you feel better a month later? Were you
Absolutely.
like back to
well,
being
I was still experiencing panic attacks because.
Right. A lot of
It's
trauma. You've been through a lot of
a
trauma.
lot,
I mean,
a
why?
lot. But this is why I say, when you say your friend, develop that personality, because that's what it is. Based on his trauma, he developed now a personality that he developed himself. He created that new identity. Was not conducive to his life, because it's not okay to be the rest of your life not trusting of people. Okay, it's not okay for the rest of your life to be alone. No matter what trauma, I'm a woman, and I have overcome some bad, and that's just surface level of what I've experienced, okay? That's very manageable. If you can't overcome trauma, what does that say about your mind? What does that say about your strength?
Well,
What
you
does
just
that
get
say about
strong.
your ability
Your
to-
experiences, they say whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes.
Like my prison experience. Nothing could be more true. Now, I've overcome addictions and a lot of different things. Federal prison, the prosecution having the whole weight of the United
course.
States government against Ross Mandell. I mean, when you walk into this, on TV every day, in the newspapers every day, my picture, front page. I mean, you can't imagine the amount of stuff that goes on. So I understand all these different things.
If you don't,
But you were very young, this is happening to you now. And this was a guy you loved, that you traveled the world with, and you got married to him. But now you're in Miami. I want to move this along a little bit.
Yes,
The woman that you are today
Yes.
develops from the time you say 21 now.
Mm-hmm.
You're still a child at 21. My youngest daughter's 21.
Of course, I was a child.
And she thinks she's, but,
I started overcoming the panic attacks because this is where I started also weaning myself off of these medications.
But now you're in Miami.
I'm in Miami.
What year was this? Can you tell us offhand?
No.
Well, 21.
I'm 21, and
Was it?
my dad tells me, you know, whatever you need, we're here, which I have a very supportive family, you know, and
That's so important. You have sisters, brothers, or anything like that?
I have 2 sisters. They're both married, have children.
Younger, older?
One younger sister, and I have a twin sister. We're fraternal. We don't look alike.
But you have a twin sister.
Yes.
Is that wild? I didn't know. See, I would never know these things, right?
Yeah.
And they're married with kids.
Yes.
Are you close to them?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have? Do you know your nieces and nephews?
Yes.
Okay.
So, nothing. I start, you know, weaning myself off the medication. But what truly helped me recover, I didn't go to any psychiatrist. I didn't go to any
no therapist. That was my next
when
question.
I know I'm a mind reader. I got you. So when I'm back in Miami, my dad tells me we need to put you with a doctor, somebody you can talk to, and I tell him no, because I had that and it didn't work. I know it works. I just cleaned myself from the medications and went very, very deep.
Hard to do.
I went very deep into spirituality. I mean, I'm talking about hours in meditation. Hours of meditation, where people, they get too bored to do that. That's why people don't overcome things, because they don't have the patience with themselves to overcome these things. They just say, I need this medication. I need to go and talk to this person. None of those people, none of those doctors, none of those medications heal those things. You have to go very deep within and address why you are the way that you are, why you're making the decisions you're making, what is it stemming from. And then I found God. Again in my life, true God, not the commercialized God. I believe in God because I know something. No, the true God that brings tears to your eyes when you connect. That's the God that I found. And I said, I don't need medication because I know who I am. And you don't, Ross, I became so powerful from that point forward of my life. I'm 5'3", but the rooms that I've been in, the people that I've been connected to, the things that I have done with...
You're 6'3". I get it.
I mean, my sisters are 5'9", and my mom is 5'9". I'm the tiniest one from them, but they've always told me, your spirit is like, you're very powerful, but only because I figured out who I am. That's it.
Well, you know, you found God, and God found you.
Yes, absolutely.
Because,
absolutely. It's really just, it's a consciousness. It's a force. It's not really so much this person or, that's why people don't connect to it.
It's a power.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like to say, Einstein came up with this theory of relativity.
He's a Pisces, March 14th.
Yeah, people don't. I studied him at deep
I love his
length.
books.
I've read 3 books about him, and just, he posited E equals MC squared. People understand that, but they don't really know what it means.
Right.
It means that we're all simply energy. Everything in the universe that we know, that we see, is energy. We think this table is solid, but that's through your eyes. But if you see it through an electron microscope, it's billions of subatomic particles flying around each other. Yes. We're all just energy, which means we're all connected.
Well, the first Hermetic principle is all is mind.
Right.
This is before religion, okay, the Hermes. They have 7 principles, which are the foundation of all reality, of the entire universe. One of those is gender, okay, male and female. That's why when people say all these genders, and it contradicts that. Okay,
Are you saying I'm not non-binary? I really like the way that...
I don't know what you are.
I
You're
like
a
the
unicorn.
way that sounds.
I think what you are is a unicorn.
But I like how that sounds. I'm non-binary. The fuck does that mean?
The first Hermetic principle is all is mind. What does that tell you? It's digital. It's 5D. It's energy.
Everything's energy. But
everything.
So that means we're all connected. There is some power that comes into your life.
Yes.
When you can access this power. I choose to call God. It's 3 letters. I like the way it sounds. It's God. It's Jesus. It's Allah. Whatever you want to call it. To me, it's just one creator. Einstein called him the creator because he said everything's created.
Everything.
If you think that this world, this universe is not created, you're just a dope.
Right.
The Big Bang. There's no such thing. This was all created. We're a speck of dust in this big game they call the universe.
The more that scientists, try to measure it and, try to find their discoveries, the more it's aligned to there being a creator.
The more that science evolves, the more they realize that the Torah, the First Testament, is being proven.
That's right.
It's not being unproven. It's the other way around.
Absolutely.
They can't figure out, it's a stunning thing. But
It's a formula. It's a formula.
Einstein posited this. So, what is the 12 steps? You heard the 12 steps of recovery, right?
No.
You never heard of the 12-step programs?
No.
All that? Okay, that's AACANA. There's 40 million people worldwide in this program.
Okay.
These are unbelievable. I used to think it was a cult. It's a joke. It's the most selfless program on earth. The 12 steps, if you take the 12 steps, you'll be healed. You'll have a life beyond your wildest dreams. It's guaranteed. It's the only thing that's guaranteed in the whole program, this book. AA, you've heard of AA?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, Alcoholics Anonymous is actually a book that was published in 1935.
Okay.
And as a result of this book, they developed a program out of it called the 12 Steps. And that's how the first two guys managed to stay sober. So first time in 5,000 years, the village drunk that couldn't be healed. They used to have sanitariums with people that, all these drunks, they would just put them there because they would go on these benders and they would be blackout drunk, eventually wet brain, but there was no solution. There's still no cure for addiction. There's no cure. Mm-hmm. But there's a solution. It's a 24-hour solution where you can not drink today, not take drugs today. But the 12, and it's called You Take 12 Steps. It's a thing we should talk off camera. It's an amazing thing. But essentially, the 12 Steps is a way a godless creature finds God. Mm-hmm. And I used to say, I just can't find God. I just feel like I can't get it. And they said, don't worry, Ross, God's going to find you. Mm-hmm. And he did.
That's right.
The power that you have when you actually have this energy, this access to this power that's so much greater than you, it's amazing. And
because you have information now.
Well,
if you're that connected, you have information from that source that's
one way to say
telling
it,
you
yeah.
things and guiding you. And depending on your faith, your level of your faith, that also is parallel to how successful you'll be.
Now, how long does this healing process take? You're 21. You go into this sort
I would
of...
say 5 months.
Okay, so you're almost 22 now, right? And you're a beautiful young woman. You're in Miami. You got a good family,
Yes.
Your sisters were younger. Everybody was younger, your dad. So you don't have the wisdom you have today, but you just got out of a bad marriage, and now you found Janel again, right? Janel is now a new person because you're also older,
Yes.
and you've been through this experience. You survived this experience, and you're okay. That's what we say in the program. Say, I'm okay today.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. How are you? I'm okay today. No one says, I'm great. I'm okay today. I didn't have a drink today, and I'm okay. And okay is a great thing to be. I used to say, what do you mean okay? I don't want to be okay. I want to be amazing. I want to be great.
It eventually gets there.
But I've learned to now what happens to Janel? Are you dating men during this period of time? I know you're meditating. Guys are asking you out.
Then I start going out and having fun.
Okay, so you haven't lived a life yet.
I start
Right.
dance, of course, because 19.
You
I
hooked
get
up with
married.
Ramon,
And then while he's away at war, I'm so loyal, and I just stay home with my father. Really, I'm just hanging out with my family because my family is the type that's like, you have a husband, you're not going to be out.
Right.
You
can't be out if you.
No.
I get it.
It doesn't matter that he's away in another
Right.
country.
I mean, you can go out for lunch with the girls, go for dinner, but I understand.
Right. I would do lunches and stuff,
Right,
but I couldn't go out dancing.
And you're not dating.
Go out and get drunk. No.
So now Janel's in a party stage.
Yes.
You're really doing what I was doing at 14, 15.
That's right. That's right.
I get it.
So I start going out dancing. I get a job
And you're in Miami.
healthcare. Yes.
Wow.
I get a job in healthcare. I start going out dancing. I start getting my glow up again.
Clubbing, clothes.
Yes, everything. And I start, having a great time.
I love it. Sure. You're experiencing the world now for
That's
the first
right,
time, like
that's
as a
right.
young
And I
woman.
dance. I would go out dancing all the time because for me, dancing is a very spiritual thing. Anything that you can relate to in an active lifestyle. But I've always loved dancing because it's sexy, but it's liberating and
It's physical.
Yes,
it's
great.
a release. It's
great.
endorphins.
Yeah.
I
So
get it.
I just start dancing, having a great time, and getting back to myself.
Okay. Were there any particular career moves or
Yeah, well, I got
relationship
into-
moves that are relevant?
I got into healthcare. My whole family's in healthcare. my sisters are in healthcare. My twin sister, she's an executive for a hospital in Fort Lauderdale. My youngest sister is a nurse, but also she's in physical therapy as well, an assistant for physical therapy. And my mom's an executive in healthcare. Everybody in my family is in healthcare. So naturally, because I didn't go to college at 19, 18,
Right.
my family's like, well, we're on healthcare. Just go into healthcare because we freaking know everybody.
Right.
So I do very well in healthcare, and
Well, when you say going into healthcare, you weren't a nurse.
no, I was
You're in
more
the
operations.
business of healthcare.
Operations. I was never clinical. I don't like clinical.
Right, but it's the business of healthcare.
Right.
So the
Which I
business side.
enjoy. It's dark. It's, it's very dystopian, but
Okay.
I was pretty good at it. Because, that's like my Machiavellian side,
You're pretty good at everything you do.
Thank you.
If you put your mind to something.
Yes, that's right. It's
no
true.
doubt.
It's true.
So now at some point you discover the media? Is that later in
Yes.
life?
Well, then I was working in a hospital and I had a very great role. I reported directly to the CEO. It was a great role. But I was extremely bored. And again, I was getting into a very dark side of healthcare. Because once you're an executive, you see numbers, you deal with certain, you're in certain boardroom meeting. And
Like insurance?
yeah, and, I was...
Denying me the surgery that I need?
Yeah. But I was very
Shots
good
I
at
need
it.
in my neck?
I
I
was
bet you were.
very, very strategic, and also, I studied communications PR, so that was very aligned with, contributing to that aspect
I
of it.
fully get it.
But then I was like, man, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? Do I really want to contribute to this agenda for the rest of my life? And I was like, no. And everybody my entire life would tell me, you need to be on TV. You need to be on TV.
Yeah.
You're so well spoken. You're highly articulate. So one day I'm in my office and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to quit today. So I went and I quit.
Ooh, you have an impulsive side to you.
I do.
I
When I really
see.
want something, and again, before I did this, I prayed.
Yeah. No, it was on your mind. You were questioning the whole
Yes,
thing, but then
yes.
one day you just
But
like,
that
that's
one
it.
day I was like, God, give me any sign, please, that I should do this. And I heard, like I said, there's some people that have certain gifts. I have a gift that I can dream something and hear it, and that'll be really God talking to me. And then I'll discover a month later, like, I was accurate. Like, wow, that's how connected I am.
I love it. So let's continue.
Yeah.
So you've been told you should be on TV,
yeah.
and you're
I quit
dating
that
this whole
day.
time. You're dating, or you're
Dating,
settling in with a boyfriend.
No, I'm dating.
After a moment, you want to just.
Yeah,
You look. The perfect guy should come. If not,
Yeah. I mean, I had a
Relationships.
boyfriend. Yeah, I had relationships, So I quit that day and I go back to school. And obviously, I do great. I graduate. 2 months after I graduate, the director of education, of career, the advisor for career or whatever, he calls me and he says, hey, there's this role that you can apply to, but it's for a cameraman position. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. I'm not a cameraman. Like, no, I'm not going to apply. And he's like, you don't have anything on your resume that is media. You need to get your foot through the door.
get something. Right? I get it.
So I was like, you know what? I'm a risk taker. Whatever, I'm going to do this. So I go to the interview. The CEO interviews me and she says, Janel, you're not going to be the freaking cameraman. You're going to be the vice president of operations. So I was like, you know what? Thank
Who
God.
said that? Who was
The
this?
CEO of the
person
TV
interviewed
station.
you?
Yeah, the CEO.
She
owned the
interviewed
company.
you.
Yeah, she interviewed
So
me.
she
For
was
the
a
cameraman-
smart girl.
Yes, she
And she
saw
recognized that. She saw the potential.
She saw it. She
I
saw
love
it.
that.
Based on my conversation, my ideas, and I was just automatically pitching things to her,
I get it.
And she was like, you're not going to be the cameraman, sweetie. You're going to be the vice president of operations. And I was like, hey, I'll take it. Let's do it.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then shortly after that, I opened up the political sector where I started, anchoring the news.
So they start putting you in front of the camera.
Yes.
That's separate from operations.
Yes. She's
So now you're they call that the
the talent.
Yeah.
She's like, I know that we're doing this, and you're doing great because you're getting very acclimated with all these politicians, which is great. We're getting them on board, and with all these people, you're making great connections. But now I want you to anchor the news.
So now let me ask you a
I
question.
brought up viewership by 41%, which was great.
Where was
and
this? Now what channel and all these kinds
This
of
is OVM Global. It's a Christian TV and radio station.
Christian TV and radio station.
Yeah.
Would you say you're born again? Or not really?
Would define that.
Is Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you enjoy being the anchor, being on camera, or being in charge of operations? Which did you prefer?
Well, I love being in front of the camera, but I don't like reading from a script.
Ah,
Yes.
the teleprompter.
Yes.
Well, because somebody else wrote
I
it.
can
You mean?
read from a script if it's acting, because growing up I was
I got it.
acting.
I understand 100%. So you don't want to ever be told what to say. That's
There
just
you
not
go.
your cup of tea.
No,
I get it. I get it.
No.
I
But I'm excellent at operations.
okay.
I'm a mastermind, so you know.
That's what I do. I'm a mastermind myself. Just so
That's
you know.
right.
It's interesting. And so, where are you? Where are you today? Let's
Today-
talk about where
so-
you're at today. 'Cause
so now
your
I do-
Instagram is really compelling to me.
Thank you. So what I do now is, for my creative outlet, I am still a journalist. So for the Rich Reporter, which
You're
is
writing for the Rich Reporter.
Yes, yes.
So there might be a story on me
interview-
coming soon.
That's right, absolutely. And I interview, people that I deem worthy of that. And then I am in the process now. Well, no, I'm in the business of decentralizing traditional banking. So it's a very new concept. It's not infinite banking. That's what everybody thinks, but it's actually not. It's a very sophisticated formula that the founder of this company he actually created. And it's pretty much you becoming your own bank. Every time you spend money, how do you feel when you spend money at a bank and they don't give you anything back for that? Nobody likes it. Through becoming your own bank, which is called better banking, personalized banking, you get, about 3.5% of compound interest on every dollar you spend for the rest of your life. So that's pretty much what I do. I educate. I'm a speaker for decentralizing traditional banking.
So you're like a front person because you read on camera, and you believe in this particular story, this business, and
Yes.
so you're like a pitch person.
Yes.
Where would the audience find this? Where would we, if I wanted to look at video of this? Is it on their website?
It is on
there
the
sponsored ads?
There is a website. Yes, it's called Friends and Finances.
What's it called?
.com. Friendsandfinances.com.
Friendsandfinances.com.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
If they want to actually have a presentation, they would just go to my Instagram and message me, because like I said, this is a new concept and right now we don't have competition. So what happens when you first start off on something? Everybody thinks it's sketchy, it's this, it's that, but then once they find the value in it and they see how incredible it is, people start to replicate it. So we want to get tons of business, do very well, and then eventually start putting out there on, social media and the internet, and because we're going to have a lot of competition.
But it is a company right now.
Of course, it's a company.
I'm just asking, I don't
And
know.
I've already had mathematicians come in and edify this, and
And
where
where is
it's
the
pretty
office located?
it's actually in Dallas, Texas.
In
So
Dallas?
I'll be at a conference at the end of this month where I'm going to be speaking at, and so I actually brought this because he's going to be speaking at this conference.
The Babe Ruth
Bucket.
Love that. Myths
So-
and truths about tax-free retirement.
Yes.
And this is Liam.
Yes, yes. So he's gonna be one of the
Just met a
speakers there
lady.
also, and yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing now, teaching people how, we're also in the age of Aquarius, which means there's gonna be a lot of destruction in the government. A lot of things are gonna be shifting, right? Crypto is gonna be growing.
We're
Which
witnessing that now. You know that, right?
That's the age of Aquarius. So, decentralization of banking is going to be a huge thing, which is also where crypto comes in. But crypto is taxed.
It's already
obviously.
happening.
Right. This is tax free because it's leveraged through life
I-
insurance.
Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by tax-free.
Well, meaning that it's leveraged through life insurance. So revenue code
Under the
77.
umbrella of a life insurance policy,
Yes.
you
yes,
can grow money tax-free.
Yes. Through your own bank.
Actually, tax-deferred.
No, tax free.
And it can be tax-free.
Yes.
But it grows tax-free.
Right.
But it's usually tax-deferred when you eventually take the money out. If you ever do, you have to pay tax on it. But
No,
it
you
grows. Well, it's good. I want to understand what it is.
Yes, and we can do a meeting.
And,
I can do a meeting with you.
Yeah, because I'm, this is sort of, I've owned a bank, personally, Sky Bank. I formed Sky Banking. I owned Sky Hedge Fund, Sky Capital Enterprises, Sky Holdings, several brokerage firms, a financial principal for 35 years, recognized by the government, the world, everybody else. A lot of the rules and regulations they have today evolved because of me personally, things that I've done, and the guys around me from my sort of, you know, the guys I grew up with in the business, pretty much all. We created NASDAQ, everything,
Nice.
all of it.
So I'm in front of the right person.
I'm the first one to ever go public on the London Stock Exchange. I did it twice before anybody ever did it once. I created the ability to go public outside of America and then swing it back in
Okay.
for almost no money. But this is very exciting and very
Yeah.
cool, and you're a beautiful, deep woman. I mean, when you describe the pain that you went through, now this is you were married only once. Is that
Only once.
I know the
But Ross, we all
I
go
know all
through
the men
pain.
out there want to know, but the women do too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there are two genders, but you know people swing.
Yeah, sure.
And you're powerful of personality.
Thank you.
You are, and she's a phenomenal dancer. If you've seen her Instagram post where she's doing salsa in jeans, I believe.
No, I'm in gym clothes.
Really?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was jeans.
No.
No? Okay. Looked like denim, but I'm just saying it was quite fetching. And where do you see Janel in 5 years?
You know, I usually refrain from sharing this with people because I'm a big believer in I listen to Alan Watts a lot and Bob Proctor, and they're very big believers that before something is accomplished, you shouldn't share it too much because outside energy can throw you off.
100%.
So
But-
I'm going to refrain from that.
But I like to put it out in the world.
I will put it out
now,
to you
Now I'm being held to
privately.
it, and I like to manifest it. So I let everybody know I'm building raw media.
Yes.
I'm an influencer and educator, and it's going to be a monster business and a monster company. And I want everybody to know I've already rung the bell to London
In
Stock
5 years, I
Exchange
see
twice.
myself working with you.
Wow, that's quite an achievement.
Yes.
That's quite an achievement. Thank you. That would be a monster achievement. Now you know you've heard the term bucket list, right?
Yes,
Does Janel have a bucket list?
I do.
Okay. Is it private? Is there anything you'd like
No,
to share?
there's some things I can share. Go to Egypt, travel, the world. Of course, get married.
Marriage is one of them. I'm just
Yes,
asking. I didn't know.
absolutely.
I mean, if the right partner. would
Marriage
come.
is one of the greatest gifts that God can give people. Okay? Now, because of our culture, we've been led astray from that, but that is the best gift that we've chosen the right person.
100%.
Okay? There's no doubt about that.
100%.
And all the billionaires attest to that also.
Yes, they do.
The person you marry is the most important decision of your life.
Your partner is your physical, social, romantic partner. That
Yes.
relationship
Yes.
will build you
Or destroy you.
It
Absolutely.
will hurt you or you'll benefit. And it's the most beautiful thing. So I married this Stephanie Sarno from the Bronx, my secretary, and she became, it was the most beautiful relationship. I shared in a video called Facing Life.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to make it a reality show. Every network wanted to buy it, and then the government kiboshed it. And I opened up and said, my name is Ross Mandell, I have the perfect life. And I was extremely happy. And of course, something like getting prosecuted by the United States government, going to trial, fighting with them, houses, money, the pressure. You can't imagine the stress. And yet we managed to still get through it. But then they dragged me away to prison, even though everybody said I shouldn't go, including front page New York Times. Big front page article, New York Times. Is outrageous. It was like what they did to Trump. But we have the most beautiful children. They're both successful and beautiful and just killing it. They both graduated from college early. My youngest just at University of Florida in 3 years.
Nice.
Now she's going to law school.
Good.
My oldest finished University of Alabama. She
My cousin's going there.
She went to
Very excited.
There's a PR school, a media school, best program in the country, rated #1 over all the Ivy Leagues and all that.
Nice.
Her particular school, and she was the #1 performer in that school, #1 graduate with honors, and 6 months early.
So you made the right choice.
I picked the right woman, exactly, and we're still the best of friends, and
Very important.
it's someone that I trust. I have trust issues, which anybody that was in my shoes that doesn't have trust issues got a real mental problem. You know what I mean? And but it's so fascinating to meet you.
Yep.
And this is the power of media today, and this is a gift of social media, and this is happening because of Raw Media. So
Yes.
Raw Media is a company. It's a year old. It's founded in Nevada, the great state of Nevada, which is where I teach. We have I wrote a curriculum. It took a year. It's called the Wealth Formula. It's the top business curriculum on planet Earth. I challenge everybody, anywhere, to disagree with that. It's 114 pages of written text with 150 hyperlinks to source material, with downloadable PDFs, worksheets, etc., and 14 modules that were produced of the highest quality, entertaining as fuck, because it's me in a studio sharing my personal journey each step of the way to show you how I did this and then how I did that. My LLC, I had a master limited partnership, I went to a corporation, I was onshore, I was offshore. I show the difference in how each step of the way I guide you, because people just don't know.
Yeah, of course.
I teach my people, I say, you don't know what you don't know.
Of course.
You're not stupid. I'm not reprimanding you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I learn every day. I learn from guys in the street, and I learn from guys in boardrooms.
Mm-hmm.
You learn, every moment is a teaching moment and a learning moment.
Absolutely.
It you have to be open. It's like, your mind is like a parachute.
Mm-hmm.
It works best when it's open. You understand?
Yeah, you have to have beginner's mind. How the
What-
Buddhists say.
I say in every meeting, I say, talk to me like I'm a moron. Talk to me like I'm in kindergarten.
Yes.
A, B, C. If I will never look you in the eye and say like this, and then turn around to my guys and say, bro, I don't even know what the fuck she's talking about. I have executives working for me. I was a big firm, a hedge fund, and these guys would come in and talk their shit from these wholesalers, mutual funds, you know, the tax-free products like you're talking about. And they go on, they give this big speech, and I'm like, I look at all my guys, 8 guys in the room, like all going like this. They all make $500,000 to $2 million a year, shaking their heads. And I interrupt and I say, do any of you guys understand what the fuck they're talking about? And they start laughing, because that's who I am. I said, I don't know what the fuck you're
Of
talking
course,
about.
you have to understand it.
And so the leveraged mortgage products that caused the 08-09 crash, that the United States government says, I was the cause of it. Me, I caused that crash. They went to the jury and said, he's the reason you lost your job. I swear to God, in open federal court.
Wow.
It's all public information. The docket's public, every single thing about me. And we were making about $500,000 a month. Completely risk-free, I'm told.
What percentage of people that invest in the stock actually become extremely wealthy from it? What do you think the percentage is? Because people, they let's say 100,000.
You mean in the stock market?
Yeah.
Most people lose money, just so you know.
Of course.
Most people lose money.
Of course.
There were 12 million new retail investors, retail, not professional, it's just that came into the market during the COVID business. When everyone was locked down. I was in friggin' the building in Miami, in solitary, in the hole. I mean, you wouldn't believe what I went through. But the market has been juiced now. You see, finally, and for 20 years I would sit and pray. I don't fucking understand how stupid these politicians are. If the stock market's doing well, people are happy. Mm-hmm. It's like handing, Janel, here's 5,000 today. Next week, Janel, here's 2,000. You just stop off and try to get yourself something. Here's a gift certificate. What's this? It's Hermes. It's $5,000. Go get yourself something. How you gonna feel?
Oh, excellent, of course.
And if I just gave you heroin every day, you'd also feel great.
Right.
But they're gonna pull the rug from this market soon.
Of course.
And they're gonna take everybody to the fucking cleaners.
Of course.
And all these fucking poor people.
The ones that truly make the money are the brokers.
This is an area that I'm
Those are the
probably
ones-
one of the most knowledgeable in the world, so you know.
Yeah.
If I wasn't finishing my probation, I might be in Davos. My co-defendant is in Davos. I saw him on TV today. He's my co-defendant. Mm-hmm. But they gave him 5 years to give me 12 years. We convicted the same thing, but I was the ringleader, the mastermind, whatever.
Rough.
We're done?
Yeah, we got some.
Okay. Thank you, bro.
Thanks.
We got a lot of good stuff in there.